So, where do you see Phantom going in the future? Because I see that there's a lot of innovation going on. You talked about V2, but you can have V2, V3, V4 all day, right? But it's the concept that there's innovation that's coming with it. I get very excited about researching financial NFTs, right? And that's just one example. We got Beethoven X with what they're doing on their side with the balancer fork, and now the what were they doing? The stable coins and
The boosted
getting yield
pools.
and the
Hmm.
liquidity pools, just like all these cool concepts and the innovations there. But at the same time, to what end? You know what I'm saying? It's like
Hmm.
you can innovate, you can get high yields, you can be more efficient, but what is the ultimate utility of Phantom? Where do you see that going?
So that's a great question that a lot of normal people ask, and I think a lot of entrenched crypto people don't ask that question because it's about, okay, we're taking, we've laid the foundation's there, Liquid Driver, Spooky, Spirit, Beethoven, boom, boom, boom. Uh, and now what's happening is people are coming and building on top of the foundation we've already put down. And it's really just about putting the next Lego block there and putting the
Mhm.
next bit of yield there so someone else can come and put the next layer on top of it, right? And it's not so much about, you know, Beethoven being the end all be all, but Beethoven is fulfilling its role. And it's got a huge role. It's got a role for the yield aggregators. It's got a role for the DEX aggregators. It's got a role for people that want to come and do index pools. It's got a role for people that are just holding tokens and want to go create their own 80/20 pool. It has a huge role within the ecosystem that people can now get creative and build on top of, right? So where's Phantom going? I don't know. But as long as it continues to build in the way that it has been, we're going to continue to attract the best talent over to Phantom. And that's great for a guy like me because it continually gives me new opportunities.
So, in other words, Phantom is just providing the tools to do a lot cooler stuff.
Mhm.
And it with those tools, however developers or whoever wants to utilize it, it's up to them. It's like go for it, innovate. Let's see what you got. But we are over here innovating, providing these tools that perhaps other chains aren't doing.
Yeah, or maybe other chains are doing it. And that's great. Like we can live in a multi-chain world. It doesn't have to be, us versus them or we're number one and you guys suck. It doesn't have to be that. I know a lot of people get that tribal mentality, but I think interoperability and working together and partnerships and things of that nature are like a really good thing. Like if you as Professor Crypto Banana and me as FTM Alerts were unwilling to collaborate, like or then it would be damaging to us both. But as a result of us being willing to work together, I can help you out and you can help me out and we can raise each other up. And I see that happening with the various networks as well. Like each one has their own way of being great and each of them deserves that in their own right. We don't have to be number one, but we deserve to be a top 10 cryptocurrency and eventually that's going to happen.
Yeah, and right now we're what top 46. So a lot of people are saying it's definitely undervalued, but not financial advice. But yeah, it's very interesting because I think a key component is mergers and acquisitions in a sense, right? Because since we are an EVM compatible and it's very easy to bridge on over, it's similar to having connecting flights in an airplane, right? Because if you want to go to a very remote country and it takes 4 connecting flights, nobody going to go there, right? But if you have a direct flight to some location, ooh, that just opens up business, opens up the borders, everything. I see that as with Phantom, right? It's very easy to hop on over, bridge on over. So why not? Especially with all the innovation. As you said, it just connects. So I love that. Okay, so let's go into what brought you into Phantom.
A lot of people may not understand this, but I'll understand it. Maybe you'll understand it. So
Okay.
I've never been one to think that everything is just kind of random in my life or a bunch of just meaningless events are happening that have no meaning, right? Phantom continued to show up in my experience prior to me owning the tokens. From, when the ICO happened, which I believe was at the end of 2018, I'm not positive. I read the white paper. I understood none of it whatsoever. And then I remember following along from there, and I remember watching videos that Mike Kong used to shoot videos on his phone and drop them in the Telegram chat long time ago, 2019. And Mainnet launched at the end of 2019. It just continued to show up in my experience in weird ways, right? Like I don't know if I was being guided in this direction or whatever, but when the market crashed in 2020, it was no question to me what token I wanted to buy. And that's when I started buying. And I just happened to be in a position where I had cash in the bank to be able to invest, right? And it wasn't a ton. And actually, the funniest story is my wife and I were fighting uh, during this time, just a little bit. So as a result of that, like I did not ask her permission to go do this insane thing, which was like basically empty our bank accounts into a token that was yeah not moving. Um, and thank God I did because it changed our lives, you know. But like, so that
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in, uh, it's not randomness. Like there are ways to the universe, man. And that was one thing that I kind of just felt guided in that direction. And the alerts thing too, like I despise social media. Let me just tell you that right out the gate, man. I do not have Facebook on my phone. I do not have Instagram on my phone. And the only reason I'm like okay with Twitter is because like when somebody's yelling at me or cussing at me, they're like a picture of a frog smoking a cigar, and I'm like okay with that person doing it for some weird reason. But like I'm not a fan of social media. I think it really like fucks people up in the head personally. Um, and so this was never something like I was like, oh, let me go be this social media guy, right? I'm was not into it. It was just something that kind of one step after the other happened.
But I see it as content creators. I think a lot more are going to come out the gate because similar to Facebook, and we talk about social media, people are like, never going to post up a photo. No, people can use that against you. And now Facebook is just another thing. I
Everyone
foresee it.
does it.
Yeah. And I think that what's going to happen then is it's going to be the same with YouTube in the sense that people are going to want to know information. They're not going to be able to find it. And they say, I'm going to be willing to share it and get some clout or just do whatever, but then also have the ability to network more and just put your face out there. So I just see it as that next progressional step. Do you see it that way happening or do you see it going in a different direction?
Yeah, I don't really know, man. That's a good question. I mean, YouTube to me, like I'm almost 39, right? So I'm like older than a lot of the people I interact with in crypto, surprisingly. And and even for a guy like me, if I want to learn something, I instantly go to YouTube. Like anything of value in my life I've needed to learn, I learned from YouTube or I learned through hard pain and experience.
Mm,
And so I think that's probably one of the most useful resources that we have. Being on YouTube was never anything that I envisioned for myself. Like that wasn't, something I planned or even thought I would be very good at, to be perfectly frank with you. But but here we are, you know.
yeah, and I think you got that social skill that you're able to interact, you're able to carry the conversation, such as on Phantom Unchained, but then you also have the knowledge to back it up as well. It's not like, yeah, yeah, LP. Yeah, that's actually really good. Like you know what's going on. You're able to direct the conversation, be that middleman between the basic user, people that are wanting to know what's going on in Phantom, and the developers, the projects, and the teams, and you provide that medium. And I think you excel really well. And man, you laugh because now there's going to be a great connecting point. There's going to be the Phantom. You saw the guiding light towards that, and then just naturally happen where you went into the YouTube. But the question is, you're not done here yet. So where else will this continue to take you? Like this is just a part of the journey. So I'm very curious to see how far this will go. And you'll be like, yeah, I just started
That's
out
a
with
good
Phantom.
question, man. I don't know where this is gonna go. To be honest, my wife, man, God bless her. When we first started, right? This was in I guess summer of 2021, April 2021, right? This was all popping off,
Yeah.
um, and I was like, honey, this will probably last like a few months, like no big deal. I remember when I got to 20,000 followers, and I told her, I'm like, this is the entirety of the Fantom community. Like, there is no chance it's going any bigger than this. And um, but she told me for a while, like, I didn't sign up for my husband having another full-time job here, you know. And she would always ask me, well, where is this going? Because she's a therapist, so she comes from the you get paid for your time mentality. Whereas I've always been an entrepreneur, I've always worked for myself, and so I'm of the you work hard until you're rich enough to pay others to do it for you type of mentality, right?
Mhm.
And I've never known where FTM Alerts is going to go. I've never known what's going to happen from the day to day, with the exception of what's in my calendar. And I guess that's kind of been the fun part about it. But like the most fun thing about this has been the people. It's always been the people to me. Like before the recording, we talked about the conference in Abu Dhabi, and
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a question we're going to get to, but
Let's
I
get straight to there because I
all right.
want to go. I love the community, especially on the Phantom side. And for somebody that's maybe with a smaller portfolio, it's more of an expense, right? People are like, just go. It's like, well, you do understand that there's the plane ticket, the hotel, and
Yeah.
everything. But I want to see also what's the benefit of going to the conference. What is the benefit as opposed to watching Phantom Unchained and being like, oh yeah, I feel like I know these guys to actually going to the conference? What are the benefits? What are the differences?
So I think people don't give enough credit to, like, in this crypto world that we live in, it's very easy to have these surface, kind of made up relationships with people. Like, yeah, I know this guy, but I don't really know this guy. Like,
Mm.
I don't know anything about his background. I don't know, like, even what his face looks like sometimes.
Oh,
So
that's true.
going to Abu Dhabi, which was in October of last year, and spending 5 days with the whole Spirit Swap team, and spending 3 days with Dr. Liquid and Screamer and Johnny Phantom and the whole Phantom Foundation team, and so what that does is it gives me depth into who these people are, you know and and for me, the most fun part about this has always been being able to assist somebody who put a lot of work into a project to help that come to some sort of fruition in some small way. Like, to me, that's really been the benefit of all of this, because it's kind of like, grains of sand on a beach at this point. Like, there's they're just popping up everywhere. Like, is this little AMA that I'm doing making any difference? But it's making a difference to that developer. Like, to them, it's making a difference, and that's the reason why the time is worth doing. So back to the point about Abu Dhabi.
Mhm.
Um, Getting to meet all of these people, it gives them depth and dimension for me. And, like, for me as an investor in this network, like, I I I buy into teams. Like, if I believe in your team, I'll buy into your team, even if your concept is not that great. Because if you've got a good team, you'll be able to suss out what the right path is. And that's why I'm
Mhm.
a huge Spirit Swap supporter, and that's why I like guys like DJ Robot from RoboVault. Like, I spent some time with him in Abu Dhabi. Love that guy. Um, Liquid Driver, Scream. Like, these are the projects that Taro, especially. I love Tigris. He's awesome. Like, these are the projects, and the Bite Masons, of course. These are the projects that I really, really support because I know these people, like, in person. And so for me, that's been super important. So, but I think what they don't realize is they return back to their respective corners of the earth, but now they know me. Like, they know that I have 3 kids, and they now know my wife, and they know, for some strange reason, Austin doesn't drink alcohol, and they know that, like, I probably consume too many Red Bulls, and they like these little nuances about me as a human being, right? And those actually go to make up something a little bit greater than just the surface relationships we have in crypto. And so later on, when ideas come about and they go, oh shit, I got this idea, Austin would be a good guy to bounce that off of. That's because of our time we spent together, right? So what came out of that conference was something much greater than I think a lot of people ever realized, which was, now the Phantom community became something more than it was.
So I'm just gonna tie that all back to you and see if I got that right. So number one is like naturally you got like some positions, I assume, in these different projects. So it's cool to be able to see the developers and see them face to face, be like, okay, all right, we good. So that's one. But then number two, it goes on a deeper level where it's the concept of your network is your net worth. So earlier you were discussing how you didn't know that you were going to really get into Phantom, but there was just kind of like this hidden kind of guiding hand to that. Now you're networking with people and it's guiding you to that. You never know what's going to come out of this because right now you're looking at like, I don't know, okay, like cool, I know these guys on a personal level. Seeing them in person help facilitate a deep bond as a network. But as of right now, nobody can really tell you the benefit that'll come out of it. Like there are certain benefits right off the bat, but you don't know how that relationship will mature and benefit you in a year, 2 years, 5 years from now. Because just even on this call right here, you said, I don't know what I'm doing in terms of growing so big. Look from a legality standpoint, am I good? and you just said, I was able to reach out to Michael Kong and say, can you help me out with a quick lawyer here and just get me going? That's just one example. What if moving forward you have a different ask? What if all of a sudden, Austin, you get big into NFTs and you want to do your own crypto project for whatever reason, just on because you want to do your
That's
own.
probably never going to happen.
But just for the case being, right? You have
Right.
the ability now to ask people about it, or it could be even outside of it. You could write your own crypto book, because you've gathered all that network and connections. And likewise, you can help out other people. Maybe somebody else wants to do an NFT project, and you're good to go. So coming full circle, by going to the conference, you're able to solidify those connections on a way deeper level, which you don't know how it'll pan out in the future, but that doesn't matter because it's just great to have.
It doesn't matter. Exactly, man. Uh, it's like going to the gym, right? If I go to the gym because I want to lose 30 pounds, that's too far of a distant goal for me. Like I will
Mm.
not get my ass out of bed at 6:30 in the morning and go to the gym for that distant goal that I can't see. But if I go to the gym because it makes me feel good today, I can do that. Right? That's
Hmm.
enough of an immediate response for me. And that's the way that I've always treated FTM alerts is that okay, I don't necessarily want to get out of bed and have these calls with these people and do these AMAs in projects that I don't ever buy these tokens of the AMAs that I'm doing, like ever. The only one that I've really regretted is I looked at Deus at $35 and didn't buy it, and I really should have. But like literally, I'm so invested into my 6 bags that I have that I just don't venture outside of that. But my point is, but but I talk to these people and I see the effort that they've put into their projects, and that gives me a huge sense of fulfillment, right? And that is the reason that I'm willing to do this every day. And when I met these people in Abu Dhabi and I saw the passion that they were putting into their projects, and they would come up to me and go like, dude, you really like helped us, you know? And of course I get kind of bashful when people say that shit. I'm like, I didn't do much. But that's really fulfilling to me. And I think what a lot of people miss in this crypto world, because it just seems to be uh, financially driven, is that there are real people behind this, and there are like people with families and lives, and their hopes and dreams are wrapped up in this portfolio, for better or for worse. And I think we would all probably do well as a community to remember that behind this avatar, there's people that, are maybe struggling to pay their bills. Maybe they didn't get in as early as you did. Maybe they know less than you do. And the more we can do to help raise these folks up, the better it's going to be for all of us. And it may not even have a financial benefit, but it would have a life benefit.
So I want to create a meme where where it says hard pill to swallow.
Yeah.
That a lot of people have higher expectations from the devs and the projects than they have of themselves.
Mm,
And like really let that sink in. A lot of people, they have a portfolio, right? They put that money in and now they look at the project saying, work for me, do it. Why is this not happening? Why is it not too? There was an exploit that's unacceptable. How could you let this happen? And granted, when you deal with money, that is a big responsibility. But at the same time, how many people are applying that same expectation and accountability on themselves? You know
hmm
what I'm saying? So when it becomes too much of a financial aspect, I completely agree. But I think what's happening right now in this video is you're showing the humanitarian aspect of it, of the people, of the joy, of how that there's more than just the profits, that there's actually that community, that building, that there's, as you said, there are people behind this project. And as a result, you can get a lot of benefit and joy just from connecting with people
hmm
and having a passion. So your Fantom Alerts, Fantom Unchained, this is a passion project. It gives you joy. I'm sure Fantom could tank 50%. You wouldn't be happy about it. We'd all cry a little, but nevertheless, you'd still be like, all right, let's talk about something. Let's get it hyped. I'm having fun, right? I think that is what's going to separate a lot of the people that are shillers and just looking for the short term as opposed to people in the long term and having fun.
Yeah, and I'm here for as long as it makes sense to be here, So for me, like I don't really have a time horizon. I'm happy to roll through these cycles. Like we're in a pretty down cycle right now. I do actually believe the bottom is in, but people don't know it yet. That's just my personal opinion, not financial advice. But I'll roll through these cycles like crazy. And I will tell you that, like, all right, so we had a lot of euphoria happening in October of last year, which was when the conference was, which is when we hit our all-time high, you know,
Mhm.
and my portfolio is down 50% from that time. And I'm more confident in my portfolio today, down 50%, than I was at that time, up, double what it is currently. Um, because throughout that whole time, I've been yield farming and compounding and researching and learning and, connecting with these teams and going, okay, this is where I want to be positioned the next time shit goes nuts. And it's gonna, like, I think we're gonna go nuts here in the next couple of months, to be perfectly honest. Um, yeah. So I'm here for the long term. And if there's anything I could say to new people coming in, like, I know that those numbers on a screen with a lot of zeros after them are like super duper enticing. Um, but those are the ones that get you wrecked more often than not, And so, like, what I do, and this was a video I've meant to do for a long time, is I farm my bags. And if there's no farm for that bag, I don't change the bag. I just lose out on the yield, because the yield will not outpace the token in a bull market ever. And now with Beethoven, any idle tokens I've got, I can go create my own pool and chuck those in there and earn some trading fees while I'm waiting on that to happen. That's what I've been doing.
So you mentioned that you have 6 bags that you're really focused on high conviction. Now, I'm sure everybody in the audience is like, can you elaborate? And what are your reasons that you have such a high conviction for those 6? Are you willing to
it's
share?
it's actually, I think, 7. All right, let's
7
let's
now.
let's name them off.